Good morning and welcome to Morning Java, brought to you as always by our friends at the Get Go Cafe and Market, where they are offering curbside delivery. You just order on your app and just pull up to the store and they come outside and bring it to you. I'm joined by Ramon Foster out in Tennessee nature.
It's like I'm on Survivor Man right now.
Right, exactly. Where are you?
I'm in a park right now. My son is getting some of his baseball lessons, and me being the guy that I am, I remember it all day. Take your laptop, take your laptop, take your laptop. And I forgot my laptop. And I'm at the park right now as he's getting some lessons. But yeah.
Well, I like it anyway. It's a fun backdrop here. Let's go after a fun topic here. Start off with some football outside of Pittsburgh. It's amazing to me how the New England Patriots went from a team that everybody had completely buried. Like, even in the AFC East, they were supposed to be one of the worst teams. Then Cam Newton comes, and now they're the runaway favorites over the Bills. How does that happen? Is it just the New England factor? Is it the quarterback factor? Or does nobody take the Bills seriously enough? What is it?
I think it's the quarterback factor. Simply quarterback and Belichick. I think those are the two things. Simply because you're right a little bit. Buffalo has still got a little bit of a stain. They're still getting over themselves being a franchise of not winning a lot. I won't call them a loser, look like franchise, but recent history says they haven't been winning a lot. And their young quarterback is still proving himself, although I think he's one of the better young quarterbacks in the league. So when you put all that out there with a new head coach still, and then you put Belichick with a capable quarterback, NFL MVP quarterback, I think it's respectable to put New England back up there. Yes, I do. I agree with that, although it's questionable because it's just been Brady Belichick for so long, and you got to ask yourself, can Belichick install his offensive mindset and the culture of New England and Cam in less than what, 2-3 months?
Well, hang on. Are you going to, as Bill Belichick, install your offensive mindset in Cam Newton, or is it going to be the other way around? If I'm the head coach and I'm thinking a lot more about, okay, how do I get Cam Newton back to an MVP level that he enjoyed in Carolina? I'm not thinking about how I can, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it kind of goes both ways because both of them, whether you admit it or not, I think Cam's bad play, if you want to call it, is based off his injuries. Simply put, the wreck and then just him taking those hits at that position I think it kind of aided to his decline in a sense last year or just the injury year. I still think he's a very capable, strong arm, athletic, smart quarterback to where he can get it done. New England hasn't had any other system, even when the backups came in. Like, we've seen Garoppolo run. We've seen Jacoby Brissett run. We know Cam is very capable of running. And is that what Bill does when Bill has never done that with the quarterback behind center?
No, but at the same time, here's the thing. There's good coaches, there's great coaches, and then there's that guy.
Yeah.
And the great coaches in all of sports, I've said and written this forever, are the ones who adapt to the talent at hand. They don't try to force their thing. And I'm sure that applies to all 53 bodies on the roster, whether they're superstars or not. And to me, again, it comes back to Belichick having to adjust. He's the one that's got to figure it out. He just does. I mean, I just don't think you can just say, well, see, here's the routes we ran with Brady for 20 years. It's not going to work. They're not the same quarterback.
Or the decision-making that Brady had at the line of scrimmage. Like I said, Cam's got 2-3 months to get this on his belt, and I think he's capable of doing it. But the way Brady checked and made plays happen, that's going to be very, very interesting to see how they do it. And I'll say this, because I'm a Pittsburgh guy and you are too, and you know the league, but you know for sure, as you said, them signing Cam wasn't a surprise to them. I'll roll with you on him adjusting to Cam, okay?
Yeah.
You slightly convinced me because I'm like, okay, Belichick signing him isn't a new thing or, hey, we got to get him now. they probably have studied Cam. I don't think they've talked to him, but there's been a line of communication through somebody that's formulated a plan. So you swayed me in
no,
that one.
they're not winging it. That's for sure here. But I still I look at the AFC East. I look at the Buffalo defense, obviously, which is ahead of where its offense is with Josh Allen. I love Allen's toughness.
Yeah.
For that big kid to be running. Now, this isn't something you'd want to recommend he does his whole career, but the way he was
No.
blowing through the middle of a line, like Earl Campbell at times, he was trying to get through there on 3rd and 2, whatever. He was just taking the ball himself.
Yes, he was. And that's a very interesting dynamic, too. And that's what Cam, I think, fell victim of. And you also, the other aspect of the AFC East is this. I do think Miami will be better. I don't know if it's going to be with Tua or whoever, but I do think they'll be better. You got to think, too, they pulled a lot of, I say a lot, but a few more players from the New England system, too. If you look back.
They did.
I give them more credit.
Yeah, I mean, Miami started to show signs of that later in the season. Remember, it was after everybody was accusing them of tanking and after the most bizarre play call of the year, but the Miami Dolphins at Heinz Field. Who will ever forget it? The Dolphins showed improvement. This is almost related, but ride with me on this too.
I'm with you.
When you guys were winning the AFC North year after year after year, and those shirts, we run the North and everything else, those T-shirts were just like you just have to change the year and pass them around the locker room, okay? But a lot of people would say, well, look, the AFC North is down. The AFC, of course, the Steelers won it. The AFC North is, and now the new division to make that knock on. Well, I shouldn't say new because it's been this way for a while. Is the AFC East? The AFC East has had some teams that had just never picked themselves up off the mat.
Yes.
And until Buffalo had a little bit of a surge, but it's still between the Jets and the Dolphins and even the Bills until recently. I wonder how many of those teams just got freaked out by knowing they had to enter a season with the Patriots in their division. Do you know what I mean?
It's gotta be tough, especially early on when you say, it was certain games. I'll be honest, the competitive edge or the competitive respect factor you have towards a team, it kind of goes out the window when you playing in a division like that. Or let's say when we knew, okay, all right, we're gonna sit him, and him this week because we're playing Cleveland. Right. That happens. And for New England to have, 16 years straight or something like that they won the AFC East? Like, it has to be the meaning to them. And I think that's why you see such a surgence of Buffalo going all in with what they got going right now with the young quarterback. And truth be told, a lot of people have a lot of hope for Sam Darnold, but I'm still not there as far as them being strong contenders. And they have really good pieces. But when you have your star safety begging to get out of there. I was
about to say, Jamal Adams might not see eye to eye with you on this one.
It's really demeaning to the rest of those guys as of late, except for, in my opinion, still just Buffalo.
Yeah, that's how it's shaping up. That's for sure. All right, more fun, because we're not that far away from football here. Let's take a breakthrough or breakout player on the Steelers offense. Now, these are guys with whom you shared a huddle. They're guys that you've been out there and you've seen in some cases, developing on the spot. And let's not pretend too, as you've said yourself and you've written in your columns, that rookies are going to just walk onto the field and make some huge impact in 2020. It's not fair to Chase Claypool. It's not fair to anybody who's coming in. So taking the existing cast, I'm going to go with one first. And I'm going to go because everybody's saying Deontay Johnson. To me, to some extent, he already did do that late in the season, especially in the Jets game. I'm going to go with James Washington. I think there's so much in there in terms of his ability as a receiver. He doesn't need separation. Hell, he doesn't even want separation to hear him talk. He doesn't care if he's got 3 dudes on him. He's got the ability to chop away at people with those karate hands
Yes.
and come away with the football and then still make big plays. My reasoning for picking James Washington, though, is I really started to love the kid over the course of the season, meaning off the
Yeah.
field. There's something that's so real about him, that's so determined and focused on becoming an excellent, not a good, not a very good, but an
Yeah.
excellent NFL wide receiver. He is not content to be performing in Juju's shadow or in Deontay's shadow. He's ready to
Yep.
be his own brand. Who you got? Actually, first of
That
all, tell me what
okay,
you think about James. First of all, tell me what you think about James.
to be honest with you, he was one of my guys. I have 3 in
Okay.
mind. He was
Okay.
one of those guys for a lot of those reasons. And I think people have to learn to be patient with him in a sense that some guys jump out like a firecracker. Bam, they're hot. They're ready to go. Throw them on the field, they're gone. Okay. I think James is one of those guys going to last in this league for a very long time because he's, as I said in one of my articles, sometimes you just got to get better year by year. And I think from year 1 to year 2 is where he is. And if you know him and the type of guy that he is, he's quiet, don't say a whole lot, but he has that, I like to say it in a sense, he has an a-hole factor about him. You're going to respect me, is how he is. And if you are right-minded and you know the process it takes for you to be good, that's the mindset that you have. He's not an a-hole, but his process of being a pro and how he approached the people that he's going against, and I'm pretty sure he hears some of the the critics towards him. That's all feeding into it.
He's
That
never
is
surprised by his success, Ramon. That's what I wanted
no.
to throw in here. And he's made some great plays in 2019. And every single time there was never that, ooh, I did it factor. He was never surprised by his success.
No. And okay, so to move on to who my guy is it would have been James, Deontay, but I'll go even further. I say whoever has the right tackle position.
Oh,
That will be the guy who has a really good year. And you look at it in the sense that the 2 guys who are going at this position have been salivating on starting for the last 3-4 years. Am I correct? 3 years.
When you're talking about Banner, you're actually talking about literally salivating. But when you're talking about Chooks is wired the same way. He's not. I mean, nobody's
Yes.
as outgoing as Zach Banner is.
No.
But Chooks, again, when I've talked with Chooks, he has that same determination and confidence
Yes.
about him. If
Yes.
though, Moan, if that's the way right tackle in fact plays out, if it's not Mike Tomlin kind of messing with everybody and then sliding Matt Filer back over there, I don't know. We'll see.
I don't think so. I think Matt is there, and I said it for the longest. I say it time and time when he started above BJ in that game, it said a whole lot more than what everybody saw.
Okay.
It saw that he can be the guy, and I think Matt won't surprise anybody about really good play at left guard.
For clarification, that was the game against the Rams and Aaron Donald when Matt Filer was brought to the inside to help double team 99, which is kind of necessary.
But Matt had his own against 99, Aaron Donald. And if you look at it, you got to ask yourself, well, what did Aaron do during that game? Okay, there we go. But moving over to the right tackle position, if he's not the most athletic guy in the room, he's top 3 at least.
Okay.
So if you get him in that position to where he's able to move and make plays out on the perimeter, it's going to be a well-oiled offense. He has to get his technique down just a little bit more, and that comes with reps. And the other side of this is if Zach gets you get a big body, somebody that's able to move the line of scrimmage. And I'm not saying that Chooks can't. So I'm saying that's one of Zach's strong suits is being able to move people,
yeah.
and he loves moving people. So it could go one way or the other. And let's say if Chooks get the starting right position and you got Zach Steele as the big tight end. We're talking about a run game that's fit for Connor, it's fit for Benny, it's fit for Jalen. Like, that is a very strong offense. And I think people are thinking the Pittsburgh Steelers are taking a step back, and that's far from the truth. With guys that have gone out and, haven't been as a guy coming back off of an injury. That right tackle position, whoever has that position is coming into a huge role, and I think we'll see it reflected in their play. So that's my breakout position since you took the other 2.
Yeah, I like it. I'm going to throw in a fun one just for the hell of it. And this is totally just for the hell of it. But I said earlier that, rookies aren't going to have an impact. I'm going to throw in one tiny exception here. and that's Anthony McFarland. And you knew I was going to say that, because if you put, this is what made me think of it, you put all those big bodies on the field, and you put Ebron and Vance out on there as a two tight end set, and then you put that kid in the background with that Willie Parker explosiveness, okay, and you've got the field like this spread out, and you tell that kid, go find daylight like he did against Ohio State.
Thank you.
There
and
he
you know
goes.
what? And you know what? And let's throw this factor in there. Zach can run too, and I will not ever say he can't. He's a big athletic dancing bear, okay? But if you put Chooks and Dave both pulling, or Chooks and Pounce pulling around the edge with Zach covering, or
it's a wall.
Oh,
yeah.
My. It lines up to everything you need on offense, man.
Yeah, no, and this is where Chooks. I hope for a lot of good things for Chooks. I think that one of the things that might be a possibility for him is that he can float between right and left. You know, we'll see how that goes. But he's a different type of tackle. He's a type that's going to be a lot more stout, stay in position. You're not getting around me. Whereas, like you said, Banner's going to be more of the moving around, athletic type, pulling type.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, before you came on here today, you did another call with the Steelers that I can tell from your demeanor really lifted your spirits here. Why don't you share that?
It did. It was hosted by Jim Rooney, Mr. Rooney's son, Art's brother, and he's written a book about his dad, and I was very honored to be asked to be on that call. This was a lineman segment, which is really cool, you know. And of those three linemen, it was Craig Wolfley, Kendall Simmons, and myself.
Oh, so they just wanted smart guys. I see how it goes.
Being on that call made me feel smart. I'll be honest, man. It was really cool. And the first thing I said, I was like, oh, we got all 73s here. You know?
Oh, wow. That's right.
It was all 73s. And to be on a call with guys who I consider legends and like staples in that organization, the Pittsburgh Steelers, for a younger guy like myself, it was so cool, man, to see Craig telling stories about the guys that he was on the line with, and Kendall doing the same thing, being a young guy playing with Marvell and Allen, and how he had to hold up everything on his end, and then me getting his number a year or two later, you know. And I'm telling them about the experiences I had with the older guys and the responsibility that it took to play on that offensive line. But also, it's even deeper now. That number 73 on the offensive line it's held it down through the ages right now. And I'm honored to be in that group with those guys. You know, Kendall's got 2 Super Bowls behind it. And Wolf played in an era that was under a legendary head coach. And then for me to play in the era that we did, man, it was – I'm glad Jim asked me to be on that call, man. And it just really gave a whole lot of perspective on how deep the Rooney and Steelers family is. And to hear him talk and tell, you know, it was awesome.
That's the reason I'm glad you're sharing this is because sometimes, you know, you and I have had the conversation off camera about in your writing, showing, not telling. You don't just tell people, well, the Steelers have a family atmosphere. And then somebody hears that and they go, oh, okay, well, yeah, I've heard that a million times. What's that actually mean? What that actually means is this. It's a connection through the generations. It's understanding who came before you. It's a respect for those who came before you. It's an awareness of what the Steelers were before and what they are after. You mentioned Craig Wolfley, and I mean, in addition to, you know, him and Tunch being inseparable and both beautiful human beings in their own right, you know what I think of when I think of Wolf? The first thing that pops to mind is he's a guy he's outside your locker room. You wouldn't know this because you were inside. He's outside your locker room after games, and he's pacing, and he's like he just played, Moan. Okay, I watched this all the time, and I would walk up to him. And this was like a thing we had before your room opened up to reporters. And I would walk over to him and go, what did you think? And he'd come up. If you'd lost 30-0 or if you won 30-0, it wouldn't make a difference. He would be like, I just loved what I saw from fill in the blank. I loved what I saw. And I love the kid. I want him to get better. He's getting better. And it was like, there was just this pause. And I know that when that room opens up, he's finding one of you and telling you that, telling you that he loves you, that he supports you and everything else. This guy, how far is he removed from playing?
That's what I'm saying. And he's so connected in where guys recognize him and they understand the respect factor that comes from him, man. And that all goes into what he was saying is his, I guess you can call it your upbringing a little bit, because we are coming to this league. Yeah, we're young 20s, but like we're still playing a kid's game and we're still growing up. I think we can all admit that. And one of the things he said about Mr. Rooney was how humble he was. And that type of thing you were saying earlier about not just being in the presence, but always reaching back and always being able to go forward with guys is one of the biggest things I think that Mr. Rooney, his dad, and are all instilling in that organization. I'll give you a quick story of what he told me. It was one of the coolest things I've ever heard about Mr. Rooney or a person in general. He said they were at a game. He was in a press box, and Mr. Rooney came up there into the press box, but the worker who was in there saw Mr. Rooney didn't have on a press pass, okay? He didn't have on a press pass, all right, and said that he didn't know any better. He was like, hey, where's your press pass? He's like, well, I don't have one. You know, Mr. Rooney talked and said, sir, I'm sorry, but you got to leave because you don't have this. This is a secured area, and. Said Mr. Rooney looked over at him and said, you know what? You're right.
You're right. I'm out of here.
I'll exit out of it. And he said that afterwards, the dude came up to him, and I think Labriola, and asked the question, man, that guy was really nice to somebody I just kicked out. Who was that? He said he told him, you know, that's the ambassador to Ireland, and that's the owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers that you just kicked out. I don't know if you're going to have a job tomorrow, but that you should probably go save that. And said, you know, any other person, you know the business. I'm the owner of the team. You can't tell me. And for somebody like him with as much power and authority and recognition, just, you know what? You're
just
right.
Turned around and walked out. Wow.
Yes.
Oh, no, I'd never heard that. That's incredible.
Yeah. Yes. But that bodes a lot, man, to why I'm loyal to the organization, but just honestly realizing the realism that's inside of it. And it's not always perfect, but it's not many organizations that's probably like this one.